So as a part of the first question, let's answer this question. When does CAT end? Well, when its 9 lives are over. Let's stop with the CAT jokes and continue with the CAT exam. And so I told you that you will not know when the exam will end because there's no, like a set number of questions that you'll have to answer like the previous generation, which on CISSP was 250 questions. But there is such thing as a minimum number of questions. So there, for every test, there is a minimum number of, every CAT test, every CAT, you have to answer a minimum number of questions. Unfortunately, right now, we don't know what that number is for CISSP. So if you once you answer that, and like I said in my graph earlier, if you're hanging on the passing area, they'll immediately stop the exam and say you passed. If you're hanging out below, confidence level hanging out below, they'll say you failed. If you're straddling along, then it will continue to throw the questions. So for those categories, when will it end? Well, there are two areas. When time ends. So currently, CISSP is 6-hour exam. When it moves over to CAT, they haven't published exactly how long that is, but it could be anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, we assume. So when 4 to 6 hours ends, then the test will end. At that point, what it's going to do is a CAT engine is going to probably look at last, 30 or 40 or 50 questions and see how you're doing there, and then determine whether you pass or fail based on that. The third way the CAT ends is if you ran out of questions. So right now, CISSP has 250 questions. We don't know how many questions the maximum number will be. So you could straddle along that pass-fail line until you run out of questions. And what I mean by run out of questions, there's a maximum number of questions that CAT exam designers set aside. They say, you know what, this is going to be either 200 questions, 300 questions, whatever that questions is. If you're still not sure, that the engine's not sure whether you passed or failed after all those questions, it'll end. At that point, once again, it'll probably go back and look at the last number of questions, whatever that questions are, and then determine. One thing I forgot to mention when I talk about the timing ends is that if the time ends before you answer the minimum number of questions, you failed the exam, because that means they didn't have enough information to be able to determine, and at that point they'll decide that you probably did not qualify. So that's the 3 ways how a CAT exam ends.